Chapter 31 The Potions. Done. Smith's gray eyes looked straight into Klein's, and he didn't say anything for a full minute. In this silence, under the pressure of this gaze, Klein did not flinch, did not avert her eyes, and looked firmly back at her partner. You should understand that once a potion is taken, there is no chance of regret. Finally, Dunn spoke again, in a low, emotionless voice. Klein smiled and said, I know, but I respect my inner voice. First of all, the sleepless does not meet their needs. The audience in the tarot party is also described. And other extraordinary ways do not know when to contact, so there is no need to wait. The same reason. Body collector followed by the exclusion, only voyeur and fortune teller to options. Given the premise that the cereal potions are equally dangerous, and given the fact that both voyeur and fortune teller fit the bill without any further information, then whether or not Russell the Great wrote it randomly, genuine regret over choosing one of the apprentices, the thief or the fortune teller, is enough to tip the scales. And from his notes can be seen, as long as you can figure out the true meaning of digestion and acting, you can avoid the negative effects of potions to the greatest extent. As for the corrupt and crazy whispers and illusory temptations, even if you do not become extraordinary, you are exposedo. All right. Dunn Smith stood up, took his half-tall black top hat, put it on, and said, Come underground with me. Klein nodded with gratitude as a gentleman. Clack, clack, clack. They went down, their footsteps drifting far and wide on the silent, empty stairs and passages. Kleinhorn got a little nervous and said, Captain, you said that after taking potions, you do not directly acquire the corresponding mystical knowledge, but only have the qualification to learn and master them. So where did the original mystical knowledge come from? Did the sages risk their lives to find out little by little, or did they come from something else? Every time he went underground, he could feel that the air was quite fresh, and the ventilation was obviously very good. But in this environment, the occasional gust of wind was really frightening. Dunn glanced sideways at him, his gray eyes deep in the gloom. He replied flatly, First, what you say about exploration, conclusion, and improvement. Second, the gift of the gods. Third, those dangerous whispers that no one else can hear are not always mad and meaningless. And occasionally, they still say something about the mysterious. But as far as I know, no one who really listens to these things and listens for a long time is without exception mad or degenerate into monsters. And of course, we owe them a debt of gratitude. Their notes are a valuable asset to the occult. Human guinea pigs. It was cold underground, and Klein shuddered. My transfer ceremony that became the magic of making friends. Will it always be accompanied by those crazy and horrible whispers? Will it bring the same impact? At the crossroads, Dunn neither proceeded to the chain's gate nor turned to the arms, materials, and documents store, but took Klein and approached the church of St. Selena on the left. Halfway through, he paused, touched something, and opened a secret door. This is the alchemy room of our night watchman squad. I will send old Neil to the gate of Chanis to pick up the fortune teller potion formula and the corresponding ingredients. You are in luck. The goddess is on your side. You should have to fortune teller ingredients left, otherwise it will be a long wait. Dunn pointed to the room inside the door. You wait here and watch as old Neil mixes the potions. It's the very foundation of alchemistics. Well, don't mess with the things in there. Speaking of which, Dunn adds, as he did before, by the way, I forgot another thing. You became extraordinary based on the need to deal with danger and find notes. Credit only accounts for part of it. So you can't be a full squad member for the time being. Still clerical. Still its corresponding salary. Still do the things I arranged before. But have to follow old Neil to learn a lot of occult knowledge. You arrange your own time. All right, Klein was all for it, except for some resentment over the lack of a raise. According to Dunn, taking potions, learning, and mastering, going straight to the team, taking part in missions involving supernatural events, it's hard to spell dead. Dunn turned the body, took 2 steps to the crossroads, and then turns back way. There will be things. I knew it. Klein is used to the captain's similar style. We have had some success with the actions of the esoteric order. Dunn said with his usual expression, they should not be bothering us again in a short time. But you should not be careful, because it is not yet clear how important the Antigonus notes were to them. From what we have found, they did retain some ancient customs that can be identified with the Solomon Empire and the fallen nobles of that time. I see. Thank you, Captain. Klein exhaled. This is also one of the reasons why he is not willing to wait and seize the opportunity to become extraordinary. After watching Dunn go away and making sure he won't come back for a refill, Klein slowly walks into the alchemy room. Here with long tables, it has a test tube, dropper, scales, and beaker. Especially as he had seen the chemical laboratory, Shanghai's just more humble, more ancient. Besides, there are big pots, black wooden spoon, transparent objects such as a crystal ball, and ubiquitous san hui, and other strange dark marks. They just apply colors to a drawing, give somewhat mysterious color. Klein looked around with interest, but did not touch her hands lightly. After a while, footsteps came, and old Neil walked in carrying a small silver box with a complex pattern. He was still wearing a classical black robe that did not meet the characteristics of the times, and wore a round-brimmed felt hat of the same color. Little guy, I didn't think you'd pick fortune teller. Old Neil glanced at Klein with his dark, clouded red eyes as he set down the silver box. Just as much character as I ever had. No conformity. Yes, light these gas lamps and close the secret door. All right. Holding back the shutter, Klein lit the gas lamp in the alchemist, allowing the dimmed light to reign again. Zap, zap, zap. The secret door closed, and he turned around to old Neil, who had gray hair and deep wrinkles around his eyes and mouth, and saw him brush a large black iron pan with some strange branches tied to it. The preparation of sequence potions is very simple. At least below sequence 7, no special flame is required. No additional ritual is required, no spell is required, no spiritual involvement is required. As long as the ingredients are added in the exact order on the formula, and then stirred, it is okay. Old Neil laughed so hard that his wrinkles seemed to bloom. Really? Klein asked in surprise. It sounds as simple as your own transfer ceremony. Hiss, it's kind of scary to think about. Perhaps this is a gift from the gods. Praise the goddess. Old Neil drew a very irregular circle on his chest. Then he opened the small silver box and took out a scroll of antique parchment. Inch by inch, the tawny parchment unfurled to reveal the words on it, and Klein looked up and saw that it was a familiar hermission. Written in blood-like ink, they seemed to retain the feeling of flowing, but otherwise, there is nothing extraordinary about them. Fortune teller, 100 milliliters pure water, plus 13 drops night vanilla juice, plus 7 golden mint leaves. Klein recites the formula, but the rest is blocked by Neil's elbow. Pure water is water that has been repeatedly distilled, and I just happen to have made it before, so there is no time to waste. Old Neil introduced, while familiar to take a graduated seal large glass bottle on the long table. He took the lid off and casually poured about 100 milliliters of pure water into the large iron pan. Klein did not dare to ask, for fear of affecting the preparation of the other party. After all, the potion had to be drunk. 13 drops of night vanilla juice. This can be extracted first to make essential oil preservation. Old Neil took a small brown bottle from the silver box and, with the help of an eyedropper, easily dropped 13 drops into the large iron pot. A light and soothing aroma filled the air, and Klein's mood became unconsciously peaceful. 7 golden mint leaves. Old Neil picked up the silver pattern of the tin can, lifted the lid, and turned out a few pieces with his bare hands. Sprinkling them into the big iron pot, the fresh and stimulating taste was faintly perceptible. 4, 5, 6, 7, just right. Old Neil chuckled, looked at the potion formula on the parchment, and said, 3 drops of violet juice. You can't drink this stuff. It will paralyze you and die stiff. In ancient times, it was the best choice for suicide. I'm not stupid, Klein made an unflattering comment. Old Neil changed the dropper and dripped the Corydalis juice into the big iron pan, mixing with a strange, sobering smell. 9 grams of Dracana powder. Old Neil calmly reached into the silver box and lifted a clear test tube, the powder deep as black as iron. He weighed 9 grams of powder in a beaker and an equal object, poured it into a large iron pot, and stirred it twice with a black wooden spoon. And Klein saw a shiver, and always felt that it was not reliable. In fact, the front of these materials are auxiliary. Add more and less do not affect the final effect. Or I put some more? Old Neil made a joke. The remaining 2 are the key. The amount can be slightly less, but not too far away. Otherwise your promotion will fail. Well, their weight must not be more, even just a little, or you will have to go to treatment for mental problems after taking it, and you will die directly. Klein tenses up and watches as Neil pulls a black glass bottle out of the silver box. The blood of the lava octopus, 10 milliliters. This octopus belongs to the extraordinary species. There are obvious mutations. The body is covered with mysterious symbols. Its blood will quickly decompose under the sun. Lose its specificity. Must be preserved in opaque materials. Old Neil tone is no longer relaxed, moving quickly and carefully with a tube to take 10 milliliters of blood. The blood was as blue as the sky, and from time to time, it bubbled up illusory bubbles, as if connected with the spiritual world. Pour the blood in the test tube and leave the remaining spot on the wall alone. This is an excess of prevention, whispered Old Neil. As soon as the blue blood entered the iron pot, it came into contact with the previous liquid, and suddenly there was a clatter inside, and the light around it became pale blue, giving Klein a strange feeling of being distant and familiar. It seems to be the experience of being in the Matrix, which makes one's soul climb. Last thing, star crystal, 50 grams. The sound of Old Neil's voice in Klein's ears brought him back to look at the long table. In the hands of this old man, there is a crystal that is pure to the extreme. And this crystal is gelatinous, like jelly on the earth, which lacks enough hardness. It shines in the light of the blue, reflecting a little hui mang, as if hidden in the body, a bright starry sky. It's a great material for divination crystals. A little less, take into account the error. Old Neil weighed it and cut it with a patterned silver knife. Pure water plus night vanilla plus gold mint leaf plus poison violet juice plus dragon blood plus lava octopus blood plus star crystal equals fortune teller. At this point, Klein involuntarily recalled the recipe. Ready, Old Neil threw a few small pieces of star crystal into the big iron pot. Ooh, in a flash, the unreal mist came out and blanched the alchemist. In this fog, Klein seemed to see the stars and seemed to feel the gaze of some invisible being. After a few seconds, the fog subsided, and Old Neil used a black wooden spoon to scoop out the thick, dark blue liquid from the big iron pan. They had the strange property of being connected to each other and never separated, so that there was nothing left in the black iron pan. The dark blue liquid was poured into an opaque glass, and Old Neil pointed to it and said, "There you go, your fortune teller potion."